When I was younger, around the time of Spirit Festival in Changsha village, I was walking home late at night from a nice evening of celebrations with my relatives by placing lanterns in the river under a full moon and watching them float away peacefully as they flickered away into the distance, carried by the steady stream of the river to honor our ancestors. Halfway to my home, I was coming up to a crossroad where an old man was burning stacks of joss paper as an offering to the dead and spreading the ashes in a circle. As I grew closer, I became transfixed on the fire. It danced and jumped around, sending off little embers into the sky that appeared as fiery fireflies. I could hear the old man muttering something from under his breath, but couldn't take my attention away from the fire. As it pulled me in closer, every step I took, I could feel my face getting hotter, the smoke now filling my nostrils, my eyes starting to stream with tears. I was so close now, I could hardly bear it any longer. My lungs wanted to cough up my heart and scream out in pain, but I felt as if nothing could drag me away from this intoxicating sensation of beauty. Suddenly, I felt a heavy hand hit me on the chest, causing me to cough into an almost fit-like state. The old man was shouting now at me, snapping my attention fully towards him. I had stepped right into his ceremony of ash and broken its circular presence. Still feeling shocked and not wanting to risk looking back at the fire again, I took the chance and ran, hearing the old man still shouting at me as I made it almost to the end of the crossway, with lungs still full of smoke. I could hear his voice lingering in my ears. "Granny will be angry with you, little one." Now coming up to my front door, still a little shook up from the events that had passed, but I tried to brush it off as just being tired, and during Spirit Festival, my auntie always said strange things happen. Entering my house quietly and holding down the handle on the door as I closed it not to cause a large crash, as it usually does when my father slams it shut, I took off my shoes and carried them under my arm whilst I tiptoed my way upstairs without making a sound. Coming now into my room, turning on the light, I realized that I was covered in ash. It had covered my shoes and probably not been the best idea to have picked them up and held them so close to my jacket in the dark, as it was now also covered. At this point, too tired to care, I threw them onto the spare chair in the corner of the room and went to shut my window. As I pulled the latch shut, I saw the slight flicker of flames in the distance. I quickly pulled my other windows closed and held my eyes tightly shut as I ran back to the bed, not wanting another moth to flame experience. I tucked myself under the covers tightly and started to drift off. Suddenly, I awoke to a presence in my room. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up straight. My throat ran dry and I started to sweat. My eyes felt heavy. I could barely open them, only being able to make out the blurry vision of an eerie figure leering over me. It kept coming closer, sour breath looming down onto my face, wanting to make me recoil with disgust and fear. But as I tried to move, it was as if I had no control over my own body. I laid there limp, feeling helpless. My vision slowly coming back to me, parts of a face now forming less blurry shapes, a wide grin, long grey hair, rotting old teeth. She just lingered there, inches from my face, not saying a word. I tried to scream, but my voice fell short, as if something had its hands wrapped around my throat. I just stared in horror as this decrepit old woman stared straight at me with dead, lifeless eyes. Finally, her grin changed to an open mouth as she spoke, raspy and metallic almost, like nails digging into iron. With a piercing tone that dug into my mind, she said, "Granny is here now, little one. You know why I have come, don't you? You disturbed my ritual and broke the circle. Such a naughty little one you have been. My ashes spread all around your room. I think I know now where I shall stay." She stared at me yet again, not blinking for a moment. I could still feel her breath on my face. She was so close now, touching her nose to mine. I know what to do with these little ones who misbehave. Sweet dreams, my dear. Rapidly, she pulled off backwards, my vision again now blurring as I started to feel lightheaded, darkness creeping in, trying to force my eyes open but to no avail. I could feel the Sandman dragging me down into his world. I slowly fell unconscious, now not feeling anything at all. I awoke to the sound of my father slamming the door downstairs. I sat up straight in my bed as my eyes darted around the room for any sign of the old woman, but nothing was out of place. Maybe it had all just been a dream, some fathom of my imagination from thinking about Spirit Festival too much. I grabbed my clothes off the chair and threw them in the laundry basket. Heading downstairs for breakfast, I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened last night. So I decided to go across the road and visit my aunt to seek some answers. I got up from the table and threw on my pajamas, quickly making my way across the road and knocking on my auntie's big wooden door. Nobody answered for quite some time. Suddenly, the door creaked open, an eye peering at me through the now open gap. Motionless but breathing heavy, filling me with a sense of dread. The strange creature from behind the door let out a cry, sobbing as it sang. She comes at night and wants to stay, is full of hate coming from a land of such dismay. For you, little one, you are hers now. Child minds must be taught some manners. Run you can't, now nothing but ash in your life matters. The door slowly closed, fearing now for my life, sprinting towards my house. Looking up at my room, I saw her. She was there, Granny looking down at me. Through the window with a wide grin, I tried to run, but couldn't move a muscle. Every instinct I had of fleeing in fear fought back against me. I just stood there, frozen, staring back at her. Slowly I could feel myself drifting off again. The feeling of smoke filling my lungs. Looking down at my hands, the last thing I saw was ash and blood. I was hers.